welcome back. Iran is holding talks today with Russia and China. They're seeking some help to avoid snapback UN sanctions if they do not make a nuclear deal by the end of August, as President Trump has given them a 50-day deadline. Iran also speaking with France, Germany, and the UK this upcoming Friday. Now, Tehran says it will not give up its nuclear enrichment, even as its foreign minister admits to Fox News that the U.S. severely damaged its nuclear sites. Watch this.
Why not import enriched uranium, as other countries do, as part of the deal? Why not do it that way?
Well, because this is an achievement, a scientific achievement that we have been achieved by ourselves. Why we should import something that we can produce by ourselves?
What is the extent of the damage to the nuclear enrichment program after these attacks?
Well, our facilities have been damaged, seriously damaged. The extent of which is now under evaluation by our Atomic Energy Organization. But as far as I know, they are seriously damaged.
Seriously damaged. The foreign minister also told Brett that Iran is open to talks, but not direct talks with the Trump administration. Brett pressed him on Iran's threats against President Trump's life as well. Watch.
Mr. Minister, is Iran currently trying to assassinate President Trump, former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, former Ambassador John Bolton, and other Trump administration officials in the wake of the death of Qasem Soleimani?
No, we have never said that. Maybe some individuals here or there have said things like that, but that has never been Iran's official position.
Mr. Minister, the Ayatollah has said death to America, and that means death to Trump. That is from the supreme leader. So you can see why the administration is looking at some of these signals, saying that you are doing that.
No, I think they are all propagandas. You know, we have always said, the supreme leader and other officials in Iran have always said that death to America is in fact death to the, hegemonic policies of the United States, not to the people of United States. This is not our policy to kill anybody outside Iran, let alone the president of another country.
Joining me now with the reaction is Fox News senior strategic analyst and chairman of the Institute for the Study of War, General Jack Keane. General, great to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Are we supposed to buy that death to America means death to hegemonic policies and not death to anyone?
Yeah, well, it's pretty hard to buy much of anything he says. Certainly, there are credible threats. One that was thwarted against former National Security Advisor Ambassador John Bolton, credible threats against Mike Pompeo, and multiple threats against President Trump, all coming from the Iranian regime. He's standing there, sitting there, on special report last night, lying through his teeth. And he also tries to make the point that they're only developing civil nuclear power. Now think about that for a second. Then why do you need 12 nuclear sites spread out throughout the country? Why are 3 of them deeply buried sites, hundreds of feet underneath the ground? Why do you need enriched uranium beyond 5%, which is in the neighborhood of civil nuclear power? Why, after all 4 decades of developing civil nuclear power, have you only produced 1 civil nuclear power plant? Why have that many nuclear scientists? I mean, Israelis have been killing nuclear scientists for years. Why do you have so many nuclear scientists if you just want to develop a nuclear power plant? The capabilities on how to do that are well known throughout the world today. These people have been about building nuclear weapons for decades. That's where they are, and that's where they will continue to be. And as soon as they can recover from those sites and likely start at new sites, the United States and Israeli intelligence are watching that like a hawk, Maria, and they will likely reattack when they begin to rebuild that program.
Unbelievable. You know what else is unbelievable is what Marco Rubio told me a couple of weeks ago, and that is that Iran continues to insist on having indirect talks with the United States. Right, General? I mean, they won't have direct talks with the United States. They have to have mediators involved. Why? Why can't they just speak to the United States directly? And Marco Rubio said, that's it. It's over. We're not doing this anymore.
Well, then what you wind up doing is exchanging notes to intermediaries, which is a lot easier to deal with than having a face-to-face confrontation. Usually, the beauty of having face-to-face talks is that you react to each other.
Yeah.
And over time, you get to develop at least some rapport about the negotiations themselves as the same people continue to negotiate and negotiate. They don't want any part of that. It's all part of the stall campaign that they have when it comes to negotiations. President Trump saw right through it. They gave him 60 days. On the 61st day, Israel attacked. That's where we are with these guys. We know they lie through their teeth. They know they cheat, and they're going to continue to do that.
Well, now you've got the UK, Canada, Japan, 25 other countries out with a statement declaring the war in Gaza must end now. They're condemning Israel, though, and the delivery methods and the reported killings of civilians at the sites. Israel rejecting the statement, calling it disconnected from reality, sending the wrong message to Hamas. When I talked to Netanyahu about a week ago, here's what he said about Hamas running the aid, which is one of their demands. Watch this.
So would you be poised to agree to some of those demands, such as the UN back in charge of humanitarian food distribution?
Well, among them, but we have our own distribution system that has been established to prevent Hamas from stealing the food that is supposed to go to the population. They steal it, they take it for themselves, and the remainder they hike the prices and basically extort the Palestinian population in order to use it to continue recruiting people to their war machine, so their terror machine. So obviously, we don't want to give up the thing that we began with, which is distribution that goes directly to the people. It doesn't go through the Hamas, the Hamas pillage. I think it'll probably end up for the 60 days with both.
You've got so many moving parts here, General. You've got, this expectation that Syria is coming around and they are becoming, an ally of the United States. And then you've got the open question of Russia and whether or not we're going to see sanctions. What do you think is most important here? And do you think we will ultimately see sanctions on UN sanctions snapback on Russia? Because Trump gave
first
Russia
of all,
the 50-day period too, right?
Sure. I mean, the 28 nations all organized and asking Israel to stop the war. Let's put the facts on the table here. Hamas started this war.
Right.
And Hamas has protracted the war. I mean, Netanyahu and his team have offered Hamas leadership, those that are still alive, an exit from Gaza, free. You can go free. And also, those behind demilitarize and give up political control of the Gazan people. He's offering them their freedom, and they're rejecting it. And so the war goes on because they continue to arm now teenagers to compensate for the 20,000 loss of life of their fighters. When it comes to the food distribution, the UN food distribution network is corrupt because Hamas controls it. They finance themselves from it, but they also use it, and this is important, of political control over the people. Yes. That is why Netanyahu and the United States have organized to have a separate food distribution system. Admittedly, they need more food distribution points in that system. I think that's fair criticism. But the overall criticism of Hamas being involved in the food distribution makes no sense, whatsoever. And going forward here, I do think there will be snapback sanctions at the end of August. Yeah. Any one of the nations can do it. Obviously, Russia and China is not going to do it, but the other three nations, the United Kingdom, France, and Germany, can do it. And I think we'll see that happen, and that will be a good thing, added pressure on the Iranians.
Yeah, it's like that's the only thing he responds to. Pressure on his money machine, which is, of course, oil and gas. General, it's great to see you. Thanks so much for weighing in on all of that. We so appreciate you.
Yeah, great talking to you, Maria. Thank you.
And to you, General Jack Keane. We'll be right back. Stay with us.